Hey guys, it's Andrew from Illumin8 here. Today we're sitting in a really special place in Mornington. This is the headquarters and home of Melbourne Travel Project, one of Melbourne, if not Australia's, freshest, newest and fastest growing and impactful travel agencies, in my somewhat biased opinion. I'm sitting here today with a buddy of ours, Illumin8, Matt. Matt is the founder here at Melbourne Travel Project. I thought we'd take a couple of minutes to have a bit of a chat about yourself, the business that you've built here, and what the future looks like. So thanks for having us, mate.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for coming down. I feel honoured.
So Melbourne Travel Project, travel agency. What got you into the world of travel, and why are we sitting in this space today?
Right, I used to be a flight attendant. I used to be a hostie at Trolley Dolly.
Okay, Trolley Dolly, yeah.
Yeah, I used to fly the skies. I flew international for 4 years and I absolutely loved it, but I needed to come down to earth. And I thought the next best thing is really getting into that travel space. You know, I traveled the world so much that the next, I suppose, way of passage was to send people on those trips. And I did it for 10 odd years for a big company here in Australia. And it just started to evolve into more of a transactional space. And that's what I wanted to change. And I wanted, travel for me has never been transactional. And it's not about, a budget as such. When I look back on trips, I never remember what I spent, a $20 hotel or more. It's about the memories that I make. And I think travel, there's a bit of a gap in the market for people to really just focus on that.
Love some tips on the $20 hotel maybe for later.
Yeah.
But I love that because, at Illumin8, our founding ideology was this isn't transactional, this is relational. We're building relationships with the people that we work with and creating experiences as a result of that. Yes, at some point there is a transaction in a delivery of a product or a service, but really it's everything else around that encompasses that. So talk to me about those early days in getting started and building a business that you have now. What did it look like in those early days? Was it you in the garage out the back? What did it look like for you?
Yeah, it did. And I came into this space quite naive, which I think is a good thing, because if I knew what I was coming into, it would have probably put me off.
Bailed out pretty quickly, right?
Yeah, I thought the only thing, I always had this thought inside me that one day I'll run my own business and do my own thing. And then naturally it was just picking up what I was already doing and giving it a go. And I thought, well, we need a brand, we need a space, and we need staff. And it really just kind of evolved over the last 3 years into what it is today, which is we've got 12 people under the Melbourne and now Brisbane Travel Project brand, which is really exciting. And considering 2 of those years was pretty quiet, I'm really happy with how we've.
I was going to say, let's touch on the elephant in the room. You started a business, and I think 4 months later, the pandemic hit, and travel pretty much ground to a halt.
Yeah.
And for 2 to 3 or so years. How did you survive?
I like being positive and seeing everything as an opportunity. I think the one thing that I always had in the back of my mind, that out of the crisis, there was always a phoenix that was going to be born. And I always knew, and I always saw it, that, well, what that meant is there's going to be less competition on the other side. And I just looked at things a little bit differently. So I thought, well, I need to be on the other side. And as sad as that is, that there are people that didn't get through, I thought, well, we're a new business, let's come out stronger. Here's an opportunity to really get our brand out there. And I came across, as I said, from the experience that I'd had working from a larger company, it was almost like I had my blinders on, and I've only been taught one way. And I think I learned from so many other businesses and entrepreneurs and industries about how to, the word pivot and get through, but really grow. And a big thing that I like to say was, we had the rug pulled from under us, and that's when I realized the floorboards were rotten. And it was the best thing that happened to us, because I would never have built the business that I built if we hit the ground running. I wouldn't have time to.
Can you point to maybe one particular thing? You said the floorboards were rotten. What's one thing you think in that travel industry, travel business, that you identified and created change as a result of what, I guess, the pandemic brought to you?
Tech, innovation in tech. I stole a lot from you. Because it allowed me to see what was out there and see what other people are doing, and really kind of cherry pick some tech. I think that's a big thing in travel. Many people may have a picture in their head of a travel agency of, maybe a bob haircut with a little snow globe and lots of papers in front of me. And it's true, there are a lot of, companies in this industry that are a little bit dated. and there was a huge opportunity for us to kind of grab some tech that's maybe thriving in the e-commerce space or so many other industries and apply it in the travel industry.
That's cool. That's cool to see. So obviously we've been working together for a few years, right from inception to some of those challenging times, and I can remember some phone calls with you over those times, to today where we're in a more thriving environment where people have been traveling for a little while now and continue to travel going forward. One of the things I've really enjoyed working with you, Matt, and obviously the rest of your family and the team here, is that your openness and willingness to learn and listen and grow from that, but also the perspective and the desire that you have to build a business that you feel is the business that you want, as opposed to what other people tell you. Could you maybe talk to me a little bit about the value of working with Illumin8, what you've found has been helpful over these last few years? Other than stealing all that technology.
You're checking your ideas. I hope emails to come through and look at some systems that you may have. No, other than that, I feel there's so many similarities between us. You know, like I said earlier, how you may have a picture of what a travel agency looks like. People have a picture of what an accountancy firm looks like. And you guys have completely turned it on its head. So I think being inspired by the way that you've kind of grown, you know, Illumin8 into what it is today, inspired me that I could really, you know, craft a path for the travel industry. So not only the inspiration that I get from you guys, I think that's a massive thing. The support throughout those, not only those 2 years, but even now, you know, having a chat that I'm going to be, even with Jace, I'm so excited about the future and the growth, and that it's not only the accountancy side and the numbers, it's growth. And I'm coming to this space to grow and grow and grow and grow. And, you know, having someone like you guys, you're not just there to tick boxes in terms of the accountants, it's there to help and to inspire and to grow.
Totally, and make sure that growth is sustainable for your future too.
Yes.
Right on.
Yeah.
So one of the crazy things that you did in the middle of the pandemic, whilst dealing with a travel agency that wasn't able to deliver what you actually were there to deliver, is you took over and now run a cafe as well. So you figure, well, if we can do travel during the pandemic, we can obviously do hospitality as well.
Yeah.
Talk to me about taking over, and for those who are watching this, you can't see, but through the other side of the wall there is the cafe that we're talking about. Coffee Traders. Talk to me about that decision to actually take over said cafe and what you're hoping to achieve by having these businesses, I guess, side by side.
I still remember the way that you said that. I remember in one of the calls when we were all in our lockdown within our 5 kilometres, and I asked, can I come into the office to water my palm tree? And I remember you didn't really know, because it was like going to have, like, that wasn't really part of the announcement. And I remember asking you that, and you didn't really know, because I came in anyway, and I was sitting here with the lights off. And I thought I'd finally just do a little bit of work. And it was dead. We couldn't do anything. Work in terms of refunds, but I saw a line at the front and people getting their coffee. And that line was always there. Every time I came in to water the plant, it was there, and it was
plant needed a lot of water, I'm sure.
Yeah, it still does. But I saw that, and I just realized that yes, in hospitality, with so many industries would just hit so much harder. But what that did for me is that I saw an opportunity that, well, there's still a community, people that are coming to this kind of central point, and that's what really resonated with me. And that's what we are growing in Melbourne Travel Project. We're growing our community. And I saw that a coffee shop is not only just a coffee, but in the lockdown when people were just coming and just staying out there that little bit longer and talking and connecting. And I thought, that's what I want to do in this travel space. There's this invisible barrier in a sales business, whether it be, you know, car sales or real estate or with us, that you don't want to go through, because what are they just going to kind of just sell me stuff? And so this invisible barrier, I always try to thought of ways that we can kind of knock it down, to just show people that that's not what we're about. You know, once you come in and have a chat, you'll realize that. And Coffee Traders was naturally that invisible barrier that allowed us to project who we were in a space where people were coming to get their coffee. And once they understand the family story, it's just grown the business, both businesses.
And it's a fantastic business there too. It's a staple of Mornington Peninsula. So you've found yourself with two side-by-side businesses doing some really cool stuff.
We're the expensive gift shop. The gift shop.
All right, so in 30 seconds or less, can you give me a bit of a summation of what you see the future of Melbourne Travel Project being?
Melbourne Travel Project is going to be the biggest travel business in Australia. taking on the big guys. I'm starting small and thinking big. And that's my naivety that I still didn't lose from the start. We are going to grow in the experiential space. We're throwing out these kind of packaged dollar-based holidays. I think AI is completely going to take over that industry in the coming years. But the one thing that AI will not take over is people. And we're always needing that connection. The connection through the community, the connection to travel, and the connection when you're out there. So we're just going to get into that space and we're going to grow in that space. That's probably my 30 seconds. But
Love
yeah,
it.
we're preparing for the tech when it takes over, because it will take over many industries, but there's always opportunities to be those.
Excellent.
Get green shoots.
And hey, having been a customer of yours here at Melbourne Travel Project and having gone through a somewhat of an emergency with some travel plans that got sideswiped, I know that you and your team looked after us exceptionally, and I couldn't recommend anyone else other than you guys. So.
Thanks, mate.
Excellent. Well, hey, thanks for sharing your story, and for those having a listen, hopefully you've enjoyed a bit of a hearing about my mate Matt, Melbourne Travel Project, and how Illumin8 supports businesses like his. Cheers.